And that music is from a new album entitled Nebula, and it's being played for you by Camie, harpist, and Aska Kaneko, violinist, who are both right here in the studio with me this morning. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Aska.
Good morning.
It's so lovely to have you both here. And the new album just released called Nebula. Now, let's talk about this in just a couple of minutes, but let's hear a little bit more about your individual professional backgrounds. Amy, would you tell us a little bit about you first?
Well, I am a harpist. I've been playing harp for 40 years. I started when I was 10 years old. I was inspired to play the harp because both my parents were music teachers, and my father was the administrator of music in the Alton school system, and there wasn't a harpist anywhere in town. So he wanted to have a harpist for the high school musicals. So when I was in 4th grade, he asked if I wanted to play. I said, sure. I mean, it was not one of those, I need to play the harp, I want to play the harp. It was just something I said, sure, and I've been playing ever since.
You were elected.
I was.
But sometimes life has a way of handing us those things that we're supposed to be doing, and we just don't even realize it.
Absolutely, and I've always lived by the motto that everything happens for a reason, because the beautiful part is that I'm actually adopted, and to be adopted into a family of music teachers who could nurture my gift it was a divine intervention.
Indeed. Now, Aska, let's talk about you.
Yeah.
You started to share a little bit of this story before we started, so start over from the beginning for our listeners.
Yeah, when I was 3 years old, my mom and I walked in the town, and then in front of the record shop, I heard the violin sound, and then that was Tartini on Devil's Trail. And then,
great piece.
Yeah, I said, Mom, I'd like to play this instrument. But I had to wait 1 year when I was 4 years. The birthday came, and then I woke up, Mom, I start today. Then she brought, the teachers.
Was she a little surprised that you'd remembered it?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then, but she thought, she felt at ease because if I say piano is very expensive.
Yes.
But think long term, it's opposite.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
And of course now, what would have probably parted her hair at the time, and you didn't, know this at the time, a really good professional instrument of a violin is many thousands of dollars also.
Yeah, but I was so lucky. Somehow, my teacher asked somebody to get the old violin in Italy, and it was 100 years somewhere stuck. So strange. So it wasn't the really sound at the moment, but 2 years later, little by little, sounds more and more. And then I love my violin sound because it sounds like viola. I like low frequency. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and you do have a warmth in your sound. You're absolutely right. You really do. Well, now, I know for a long time Amy had been doing harp work in the healing field. And did you also come from a field of healing with this, or how did you two meet? How did this all evolve?
We met one of the concert in St. Louis.
Yes, so how we met was we were both artists performing on the Faces of Love concert that Gaetano Production produced in 2015, and it was Cecilia Nadal. So
Who's such a delightful lady.
Absolutely. She is lovely, and she is so intuitive as well. So I was on the concert, and Aska was the featured performer, and we had one rehearsal together before the concert to go through the final song, which was going to be I Will Always Be With You, which is the song that I had written after 9/11. So we had a brief rehearsal, talked a little bit, realized we had a lot of things in common. And after the concert, we just were like, okay, well, let's get together. And so we invited Aska and her husband and her son over to our house during spring break to meet our sons and just talk. She brought her violin over. We went through just some doodles. Aska is so, oh my gosh, she is so gifted, and she just falls into the flow of the music. So I was just playing a few things, and here she comes with this amazing energy and counter melodies and dancing with the violin. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I actually invited her to join me on a concert that I had already scheduled at Mercy Conference and Retreat Center. And so she came and added her gift to a couple of the last pieces of that concert. And those videos are actually on my website. But because of that just ease of connection, we collaborated on another concert in April. So we had met in February. We did something in March. I think the Mercy was in March. And then in April, I had something else that was tentatively on the books. And we evolved that into our first joint concert at First Congregational Church as part of their God is Still Speaking series. And so that was really the first time we just dedicated hours and hours. I've never rehearsed so much in my life, I think.
It's funny how that...
To bring the original, like I brought my original music, she brought her original music together, and then we worked, how do we now express this as a harp and violin expression? And that kind of evolved into...
Yeah, after we joined, so much music came up, the sound somewhere. So I wrote quickly the first piece, dun, 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 on the desk. Do
That's
you remember?
Right. Oh my gosh. So the first piece that we were listening to, I'll never forget this. Aska sees music like we would read or see words in our mind. And so we were just sitting at the table, and we were taking a break during one of our rehearsals at our house. And we were talking about something, and all of a sudden she like waves, like, give me a pen. And she takes this piece of paper and she starts notating in ink this melody. And that was how that A Voice is Calling came through. It was just like, here it is. She just pulls from the ethers, and here it is.
Taking dictation. I think that was something Mozart was pretty gifted at, Aska Mozart. Kaneko.
That's how it happens.
Isn't that interesting? So you realized right away you had something very special here.
Yeah.
And when did you decide to maybe put this all together into a CD, that synergy?
Well, after the April concert, Aska, she had a tour. She tours in Europe and Japan. So we knew she was going to be gone. We knew we had planted a seed, but we didn't know what it was. And we were both very patient. I love the spiritual connection that we have as far as it's just so natural. And so we were just going to give it time. And ironically, when she was gone, I did not even play the harp for months because something broke open inside of me at such a deep level that every time I would sit at the harp and play, the music felt very old. And so I knew something was transitioning and transforming, but I didn't know to what. I just had to be patient with it. So when you returned, in December?
Yeah, something like...
Yeah, so she returned in just this past December. We had on the calendar a date in April. And so we wanted to have a CD available for that concert date in Jackson, Missouri. So in December, from the time she got home, we wrote new music, we rehearsed, we expanded what we had already done earlier in the year. We recorded a CD. We spent hours and hours and hours mixing the CD. I want to give a shout out to Adam Long. He is the most amazing sound engineer. The patience of just, he's so wonderful. And that in and of itself was such a learning experience. And I just have to share this one piece.
What?
So Aska is such a professional, and she is such an artist. And we were spending so much time on this one piece, and And I looked at her and I said something like, "Now, Aska, remember, this is just a harp and violin." And she was actually like producing the layers and layers and voices, and because she adds vocal tracks to several of the pieces. And she turns to me and she says, "No, what do you say? I'm a composer." And it was like, oh yeah, I have so much to learn. Because it's crafting. It's crafting the sound. It's shaping the experience. And the colors and the harmonies and the textures and the imagery that moves through this music is unlike anything I have ever experienced personally.
What are your audiences saying about it? They're both grinning.
They like it.
They're both grinning.
They like it. Well, a couple of friends, they're like, you listen to it with your whole body. You know, it touches the soul. It transports. It's interesting. One of the organist and coordinator for the concert we did in Jackson, Missouri, we used the little phrase, "This music transports the listener." Yes. And he came up to us afterwards and he said, "I didn't really understand what you meant until I realized that about 20 minutes into the concert, I sat down, I was all worried and just like stressed from the organizational stuff. And then about 20 minutes in, I realized I just left my body. I just went out." So it does. It's the way that we've experienced it with people who actually sit with us as we listen to the whole CD, because each track is literally a meditation in and of itself. But if you listen to it all at once, and at the very end, it's like they wake up and it's like, oh my gosh, it feels like an attunement, like a really powerful attunement.
Well, now, I know for many, many years you have been working really in the health field industry by providing harp music for people who were victims of cancer and, who were dealing with cancer survivorship and things like this. And that this has been expanded and magnified is just tremendous. And we'll talk a little bit more in a minute about music for mental health. But as you've done this, can you share with our audience how people have responded as far from a health standpoint as well, not just an attunement, but
Well, Nebula is so new. Literally, it was just released, so we don't have a lot of feedback yet. But we're looking forward to it, because truly my definition of health and healing is really about balance. Yeah. It's about balance. And up until now, a lot of my music and people who have enjoyed my music have experienced it as a very calming, relaxing experience. With Nebula, I'm excited to offer this expanded awareness that it's not just a calming of the energy.
Sometimes people has to break their stiff something very, very deep, individually. So I think Nebula has the power, some songs have the power to access that point.
That's a very good point. Why don't we play our audience a little bit from the very first track on this, Place of Forgiveness? You said that there's an interesting backstory with this. Let's set this up.
There is, and this goes right in alignment with what Aska was just sharing about having to break something up. So, Aska, do you want to share the story?
Yeah. First of all, I made this song originally for the theater play, which concentrated to the very, very peace places for 100 years in the 12th century in Japan. Tohoku, it's that hit the earthquake.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the producer wanted to help something, so they concentrated that story. And one of the samurai made a peaceful land with the Buddhism thinking way. Including not only my side of family, the enemy, which killed his wife and mother, everybody. So that is very, very unusual story. But definitely we had that the old time. Yes. We knew through the real story. So it moved me very, very much.
And that's how this is how she's tearing up, folks.
Yeah.
But that's how this all came about.
And also with my experience, I married a third time, and my first husband came from Hiroshima, and now and then his mother's family all died with bomb. Oh. And then now my husband is American, and then that kind of time heals something. We have to have hope anyway.
We do.
Yeah.
We do indeed. Well, let's play a little bit of this. We'll start this right from the very beginning. The name of this is A Place of Forgiveness. The words by Hiromasa Kiuchi. Did I say that correctly? And music written by Aska. This is so beautiful.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And Amy, you were talking about the forgiveness aspect of this with the samurai, and Aska, you were too?
Right. I just wanted to clarify that in this story, this samurai story comes from their history. And what touched me the most about it is that this one samurai was able to find this place of forgiveness within his heart for the other samurai who killed his mother, his wife, his family. And it just felt like a profound gift to be able to express this music during this time when so many people are experiencing such anxiety and stress and distress. And this music can help open, perhaps, that place of forgiveness within them.
Yeah, it's inside the individual mind, actually.
Yeah.
We have to go back to stillness. I'm learning Udun Tai Chi. So from that, I'm learning a lot of stillness and forgiveness. But still, everything is happening in our real life.
How do I balance quiet with crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Now, as we've talked about this, and of course we'll mention, let's talk about music for mental health and let's talk about music for mental health and then in a moment we're going to tell a little bit more about Aska and her phenomenal career. But this seems a good place to talk about music for mental health and what all has happened just in the last 2 days.
Right. So last week I received a profound testimonial from a friend of mine about how the Magic Mirror CD was helping her husband, who was dealing with severe panic attacks and who could not sleep. And the only thing that was helping was to play the Magic Mirror on repeat. And then I received a couple other testimonials during that week. And that's the universe's way of pay attention, Amy, pay attention. So I went back and I reviewed and just felt the letters and testimonials from people for the last 10 years about how the Magic Mirror really changed their lives.
This is your first CD, or one of your
right,
earlier
the Magic
CDs.
Mirror is one of my CDs that was inspired by ancient healing chants, actually. So a perspective just opened for me. I watched Sheryl Sandberg's UC Berkeley's commencement address, and in it, she asked, if you only had 11 days left to live, what would you do? And I'm the type of person, I live my life so fully every day, but something about that question just reached really deep inside. And my dream has always been to gift my music to people in stressful life circumstances. I mean, it's when our youngest son was 8 years old, he would say, "Mom, you have to stop giving away your CDs." Because I literally would just give them away because the music just was calling to be in the hands of different people. And so if I only had 11 days, I would want to reach as many people as possible. And so this music is for mental health. It's for, all music is for mental health, really. It's truly,
true.
All music is for mental health. And with the Magic Mirror, I just want to make it available. And so I literally was able to secure the domain name musicformentalhealth.com.
Really?
And which was another little sign from the universe that says, run, do this. And I talked to my husband, and we're offering the audio downloads of the Magic Mirror for $5.
That's practically giving it away.
Yeah, and so my dream, I just want people to have access to it.
Say that again, that address, that web address, Music for Mental Health?
musicformentalhealth.com. And that will take you to a CD Baby page where you can read about the music, some of the pilot studies that we've done, testimonials, and you can download it for $5.
Oh, my. That's marvelous. Yeah, it just seemed like we needed to discuss that right now.
Yeah, thank you.
And now, Aska, let's talk about you and your phenomenal career and all your touring around Europe and Asia. And have at it. Tell us about you. She probably doesn't want to brag.
I do the Gaia Quattro, the band. with the Argentinian and in Japanese. And then quite often we do the touring in Europe and Asia. But this time, I just came back from Barcelona and in Kiev. It was some special peaceful movement with musician group with Japan and Ukrainian.
My gracious.
And one of my good friend, keyboard player, composer, he organized one of the bird song project inside the internet site. Every musician plays individual style with individual arrangement, plays bird song from Catalonian. It's very famous. The cherished colors played in the United Nations place. Yeah. So that kind of group with Japanese instrument player and Ukrainian harp player.
Oh my.
Her father actually died with the Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, yes.
Yeah. So a lot of things happening. We played at the Chernobyl Museum this time, and then Kazar's house, and then Kazar's auditorium. Yeah. It was very deep experience this time.
And brought that gift there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of music to those that were in pain.
Yes.
There seems to be a theme here.
She's been doing healing music for a long time.
Yes, she has. Yes, she has. Well, you can meet, you, our listeners, can meet Amy, Camie, and Aska Kaneko in person and listen to their glorious music this Saturday at 7 p.m. And that's going to be at the Elliott Unitarian Chapel, which is at 100 South Taylor in Kirkwood, Missouri. And it's simply a love donation for the concert. CDs will be available there, but you can hear a lot of the pieces from Nebula. Are you going to do the entire album? Are you going to work in other things?
No, this will be an expression of Nebula. From
lovely.
Top to bottom.
And again, top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
And down.
Here we go.
And I'm going to give you Amy's website one more time. Amy Camie, that's AMYCAMIE, amycamie.com. And you can find out more information. Yes, Amy.
And Aska's website is askakaneko.com.
Aska Kaneko, and Kaneko is Aska is spelled ASKA.
Yes.
Kaneko is KANEKO. So askakaneko.com. That's very easy. I like that. And then, of course, the music for mentalhealth.com. But this Saturday, 7 p.m., Elliott Chapel, be there and come experience these two remarkable women who have touched so many lives. And it seems like everything is poised for you to touch a whole lot more lives. Pardon my grammar.
It feels like things are coming into alignment.
Indeed it does. What's the most rewarding aspect of all this, need I ask?
For me, it's an expansion of the expression. One of the things that surprised me most was how deeply moved I was when I performed and co-create with Aska. My fear has been that I don't know enough theory to write my own music. And so that has been my excuse to kind of hold me back. But with Aska, because she hears color and she sees the music and imagery, the textures and the harmonies that she wants to express are so tight. And from a harpist perspective, every accidental you have to move a pedal.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
So she would write down these chords and these harmonies. I'm like, oh my gosh, Aska, I don't know if I can get from that to that. I have so many pedals to move in one measure.
Dance ballerina
I
dance.
Truly, you should see my music. But we figured it out, and we were able to do it. and that just, it's like broke down so many barriers that I still feel like an infant as far as my ability to compose music, or to allow it to flow through. There's so much more I feel is ready to just explode. And they always say when you want to play better tennis, you play with a better tennis player. So
there you go. That's exactly right. I had a girl. Well, I think we ought to go out on one that you wrote, and that is the one entitled Spring.
And again, these are all just doodles and fun expressions, and everything you hear Aska playing is strictly coming from her.
Amy Doodles, eh?
Amy Doodles.
Amy Doodles and Aska.
Right.
Amy Doodles and Aska gingerbread around it.
Beautiful.
Thank you both so much for being here, Amy, Camie, and Aska Kaneko. And thanks so much for your warmth and your utter candor in discussing this. And the piece is called Spring. Did you want to set this up at all?
No, again, it's just a doodle that started coming through, I guess, about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And it's expanded into what it is now.
Well, here we go with Spring by Amy Camie.